as an administrator, as an executive, as a guy who can actually take care of the people that work for him and build teams. But it was 1989. I know many of you, especially you girls, were not alive then. And it was a Tyson fight. And this time Donald was big in Atlantic City, and he called me up and he said, okay, let's go to the Tyson fight. I said, I have one of my little sons with me. He said, no problem, I'll bring Donnie, let's go. Of course, in typical Trump style, we hop in the Trump helicopter, we fly into Atlantic City, and it's a zoo. We land, thousands of paparazzi, thousands of people everywhere, whisked to his limo, go to the front of the convention center, and there's 10,000 cameras. So they say, let's go to the back of the convention center. We go to the back of the convention center, we start walking in, and people are harassing him like mad. The side of the door, there's a little nondescript man, and he says, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump. And Donald stops, he walks over to the door, he says, Louis. He says, Mr. Trump, I'm so happy to see you, and thank you for what you've done for my employees, and thank you for what you do for me, and I just want you to know that my critically ill son thinks you're the greatest man in the world. Meanwhile, everything's going crazy, we're late to get to the fight, and Donald's just focused, eye to eye, with this man who at that moment thought that he was the only star in Donald's universe. He said, Louis, I'm not the greatest man in the world, you are. So we take the kids, we roll in, it's 5 minutes to the fight. I think it was Tyson's. Holmes probably lasted 4 seconds. It was one of Tyson's longer fights. We get to the floor and he's fidgety and I can't figure what's happening. I've got the boys and I said, what's wrong? He said, give me your program. I gave him my program. He writes something on it, brings one of his security guards over and sends it back to the doorman. I said, what was that? He said, I just wrote a note. I said, what did the note say? He said it was to his son and said, I came here tonight to see two champions, Mike Tyson and your dad. True story. Now, what kind of man in the middle of his celebrityship has the presence to focus on the littlest guy in the shop? And that is Donald Trump. 10 years later, one of the greatest men in Donald's life passed away, Fred Trump. And the funeral was being held the night before at the Frank Campbell Funeral Hall, 82nd and Madison. So Donald called me up and he says, I can't stand it. I'm going to go over early. Why don't you come over early with me? I said, fine. We get to the funeral hall and we're sitting as kind of, two middle-aged guys that go through that debate when your father leaves of what's the difference between relevancy and mortality, right? That loss where you're really questioning what's important and what's not important. It's not about money and it's not about power and it's not about stuff. And all of the agony that you have with your father at that instant just evaporates. And you're sitting there with something. So he sat there just kibitzing, musing. And I said, how do you feel? He said, well, I'm thankful that I have my dad's strength and my mom's sensitivity. And all I want to do is leave the legacy of the Trump name that they built brick by brick a little bit better than I found it. He's done it. So look, we're at a tipping point. The world is a mess. This necklace of globalism that we've all talked about has crumbled and shattered into 1,000 shards. It needs a jeweler to take each of those jewels one by one, starting with America, its own diamond, and polish it. Then slowly find seamless strength, put them all back together so that what we look at is the necklace of prosperity and tolerance around the world. So we've been on an adventure, and people say, wow, Donald Trump,